All right, for those, big thank you for everyone who's joining us right now for Confidentpreneur. And I've got with me an amazing person who is someone that I've actually done some work with recently at an event called the Breakthrough Experience. And I guess Dr. John Demartini is a myriad of different things, but first and foremost, he's a teacher and a researcher and someone that works in the space of developing human potential. Okay, so welcome, Dr. John Demartini.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Okay, so this conversation, the reason why I wanted to connect with you and talk today was really because I'm doing some work around this idea of authenticity and influence, right? And particularly in the business space, and also, I guess there's been a lot of press and a lot of focus and attention on this thing called authenticity. And I really just wanted to understand, get your insight on that, because there's so many people out there using the word. It's become a big buzzword, and I'm just curious, where has this come from, and why is it's happening now? So what are your thoughts on
that? Well, anytime we're not being true to ourselves, not being integral, not being congruent, not being authentic, our fulfillment levels go down. And we rob ourselves of our power, our potential, our purpose, and our priorities. So I always say that all the feedback from our life all points us back to being ourselves. And so a person who is living congruently and being authentic is one who becomes an exemplified leader automatically. So I always say that everybody lives by a set of priorities, a set of values, and when they live by the highest priority values, which their identity revolves around, they're more congruent. And when they subordinate to people on the outside and try to be somebody other than who they are by living into social idealisms or living by other authorities' ideas, they end up robbing themselves of this power. And I don't think their fulfillment levels, their fulfillment levels will be down, and so they will basically be searching for something else. So I think that whether it's a buzzword now or it goes back all the way to the ancient Greeks, know thyself, be thyself, love thyself. I mean, the same thing was occurring then. I think that human behavior is the same in the last 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, even 6,000 years. It's pretty well the same. We're here to be true to ourselves.
Now, that's with being true to ourselves. Going back to the ancient Greeks, I guess it's always been a challenge or maybe a struggle for humans to be able to really access that. What are the biggest? Let's begin with, how do you begin to find your authenticity? I mean, this to me sounds like a ridiculous question, but it's one so many seem to struggle with. So where do you start?
Well, as I said, every human being lives by a set of priorities, a set of values, things that are most important to least important in their life. Whatever those set of values are, or whatever it is, that highest value, very top value, their identity revolves around. It is what the ancient Greeks called the telos. It is the most purposeful, most meaningful, most spontaneously inspiring thing they can do with their life. Just like a 12-year-old boy who loves video games, he spontaneously does it. He doesn't have to be reminded to do it. So too, we all have a highest value that we are spontaneously inspired from within to fulfill. And whenever we set goals and intentions, or even attentions, to try to fulfill that, we have the highest probability of being authentic and inspired in our life. So our most authentic self is our highest value. That's what our identity revolves around. It's who we are. In my case, it happens to be a teacher. I love researching and writing and traveling and teaching, and I can't think of anything else I'd rather be doing. So if I structure my life and prioritize my life to live around what's most important to me, I have the most fulfillment. I live authentically. I live with integrity. But if I attempt to live by other people's values, if I minimize myself to others and think that they have something I don't and think, oh, I should be more like them. I should be living like them. And I escape the power of my own values and try to live somebody else's life, I'll end up beating myself up because I won't be able to sustain it. You can't sustain being somebody you're not without repressing and suppressing yourself and eventually creating symptoms in some areas of your life to get back to authenticity. So anybody who's giving themselves permission to be authentic and integral and congruent and having a pure identity like that, an unborrowed visionary, as Ayn Rand would describe, is automatically such an exemplification for others that they're drawn to that person. Others are drawn to that because they want to be liberated from their own false selves so they can be true to themselves too. I always say when we are willing to be ourselves and give ourselves permission to be our most authentic self, we have the highest probability of magnetizing opportunity and leadership roles in life. So I'm a believer that I teach a class called the Breakthrough Experience that you just mentioned. And I do what I can in that course to at least help people become aware of this, help them identify what their values are, what their life demonstrates is truly important to them, and help them prioritize their life and in some cases delegate lower priority things away so they can get on with doing what's truly meaningful to them. You know, at the end of your life, you're going to be asked a simple question. Did you do everything you could with everything you were given? You want to be able to say, yeah, I was authentic. I lived my life to the fullest. I did what I felt was highest in my priorities. I gave myself permission to be a very powerful person, influential person, one who makes a difference. And I think this is what we all want to be. We all want to be true to ourselves.